Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Battle Bites here in World of Tanks, and today we are on a standard battle in Severgorsk, and I am in the T57 Heavy, the Tier 10 American auto-loading heavy tank. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the recent month-long event for April that wrapped up, the Road to the Top, as well as the Living Apex event that was the weekend at the end of the month. While this battle goes on, and just while we get ourselves into position here, I'll recap my thoughts on the event, and then once the battle starts getting underway, I'll switch back to the commentary of the battle. So this was the first time we had this event, and it was called Road to the Top, and I think Wargaming presented it kind of as an alternative to the standard operations, on-track operations, where typically they pick a tank line, a Tier 10, and all the tanks that lead up to it, and you get a bit of 25% bonus XP on any of those tanks, and all the tanks in that line get a discount. And instead, what they did for the Road to the Top is there were a series of missions that were timed and time released that required you to get a total amount of XP in a certain tier, and then you got a silver reward, and then a couple days after that, the next tier would open up. And the silver rewards ended up being pretty nice at the top of the chain. But if you were a person who didn't have a ton of tanks in that tier that you were currently working on, this thing became a bit of a grind. If you're the kind of person who has 6 or 7 Tier 8 or Tier 9 tanks, those are the last two levels, and they were the toughest grind. If you had that many tanks, it wasn't bad because the daily double did count as double XP for your mission. But if you only have 1 or 2 of the tanks in those tiers, you were out of luck. You only got 1 double, and then the rest you had to grind standard, which was pretty tough. So I feel like the on-track is definitely my preferred event. You can jump in at any tier. Even if you haven't started the line, you can jump in at the start of it. Whereas the on-track, you can kind of get left behind. If you're not up on your tanks, if you're not in the higher tiers, then this event quickly left you behind. And so that was my thoughts. We'll get back into that a little more later. Right now, we've got our first opportunity, full clip loaded, and there's an AMX 5120, the Tier 9 French auto-loading heavy tank, kind of the mirror Tier 9 of this tank. And we put our full clip into that guy, tracked him, did a good amount of damage, left him on just a sliver of health, and now we're reloading. And he probably will not make it to, till our clip is reloaded. But we do have to watch out. There is an FV215B183, the Death Star, the highest caliber gun on a non-artillery piece in the game, lurking over the ridgeline that we don't want to take a hit from. But speaking of large caliber guns, we take splash damage from a Churchill gun carrier, and we've lost half our health now, thanks to the splash from that Tier 10 British artillery. Ugh, Artie and me in this game do not get along. I have just had a terrible luck lately, but no worries, we're still in the fight. We're going to move along here. We are fully loaded, and we have an E75. I rushed my first shot. If I had taken a little bit more time, I could have put a damaging shot in there. But thankfully, the higher angle of my tank, my higher elevation of my tank down to that E75 meant that his front plate was fairly flat, and the penetration on this gun was good enough to go straight through the front plate of that tank. And we put 3 of our 4 shots in, and ended up getting the kill for our first kill of the game, and removing a very well-armored, dangerous Tier 9 German vehicle from the enemy roster. So we can see the scores are tied up 3-3, and we already have our full clip reloaded for the next engagement. That is one of the things I love about this tank. I also have the Waffle Tractor E100 that everybody says is so deadly and so powerful, and it is, but the opportunities you get in that tank to unload a full clip, take out a tank, and then do it again are so sparse because of the minute reload on that. Whereas the T57 Heavy, you can't really take a tank out in one clip, but you get to unload your clip so much more often. It's great. Now, big shout out to the tank destroyer there on our team, firing down the hill here and going around the corner full speed, getting the Death Star to look at him, allowed me to come around the corner and pump 3 shots in to finish that guy off. But once we do, we take another hit from artillery, the Tiger, the GW Tiger this time, and once again take an artillery hit, and it just about removes us from the game. We have a quarter less than that of our hit points left. So big shout out to the tank destroyer there on our team who made that nice move, because I could not push that corner. The caliber gun on that Death Star, he could have removed me in 1 hit, so I wasn't able to force that engagement. But thankfully the tank destroyer did, got him to turn his turret, and I was able to come around and finish him off. Now we see the Jagdpanzer E100, and that is a very well armored tank from the front, but I did have a shot at the lower plate, and the accuracy on this gun did not let me down. So So we're able to put one in and get rid of that very dangerous tank with a very big gun, second only to the Death Star on non-artillery pieces. And we remove him from the game as well. Now we're going to try and advance. We know there's 3 artillery on the enemy team, and man, I am hungry for some revenge on those guys because they have been ruining my day. So we're going to start advancing here, but we stop because there's a Conqueror, the Tier 9 British heavy tank, and we're at long range here. We are not spotted, and we get to just pump some shots into the front of this tank. It's a well-armored heavy tank, but not well enough to withstand the firepower of the T57 Heavy. So we empty our clip, end up damaging his ammo rack, but we do leave him on just a sliver of health. And then, unexpectedly, all my allies on this flank are suddenly gone. It's just me. And while I'm going to be reloaded in a second, I have second thoughts about what I'm going to do here. Because I know the Conqueror is there, and I know there's at least 2 artillery looking this way. And any of them that do a hit on me, I mean, the Conqueror would take more than 1 hit. But if the Conqueror hits me, the already splashes me, I would be removed from the game. And this tank is not fast. So instead, I decided to pull back and engage on the other flank and help my allies out. Now, there's nothing worse than watching a T57 Heavy drive around. Well, there's a couple things worse, but we don't have a T95 in this game, so this would not be entertaining. So instead, I've sped up the replay. I am not supercharged in this T57. We're just running back the replay at twice the amount of speed, so you guys don't have to suffer through it. And I decided to come over this way and try and help my allies. Man, this is a close game. It was 5-5 there for a little bit. Now we're up 5-3. Some good work on my allies' part there. And I'm going to just kind of ring around the rosy here, try to catch up to my allies so I can support. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is the IS-7 is out there all by himself. If he gets removed, then it's just me, and I'm a 1-hit for artillery and 3 artillery. And you never know what's going to happen if all you have left on your team is artillery. So I'm trying to tell this guy, hold up, I'm coming, let's push together. If there's 2 of us, there's no way the arty can shoot us both. If they fire at one, they're going to have a really long reload, and the other one will be able to take them out. But the IS-7 is on pretty good health. He's got over half of his hit points, and it's a really heavily armored tank, so he's probably going to be just fine. I'm kind of being overly cautious. And there the IS-7 lights up the German artillery piece, and our American artillery takes it out. So now there's just 2 left, and man, it looks like I have just made a complete circuit on Severgorsk here, a complete lap around the map, trying to find these guys. I don't know if it was the right decision or the wrong decision, if I should have just pushed into the enemy base. Would I have had more success? I don't know, but I was a little worried if I had been removed there, this would have been a lot closer. So I'll stand by the decision. It wasn't the most exciting for me, the most glorious personally, but I think it was the safer move for the team. So the Conqueror got spotted by our artillery, and I think he got shotgunned, and then sweet revenge, we slow it down for this. We have our clip loaded, and we see the Conqueror gun carrier, the Tier 10 artillery. We get to take him out in super slow-mo. Now, I did have a premium clip loaded there. That was a completely unnecessary clip. That was kind of a greedy clip. I was worried I might see the Conqueror first, and so I wanted to make sure I could penetrate him at whatever angle and not just bounce off. So not an unnecessary clip there, and by the time the Conqueror was removed, I didn't have time to go for a reload for the artillery. High explosive would have been the way to go, obviously, for that engagement. But we secure the win, and it's a nice result. And we can see 72,000 silver, 5,600 XP for our 4 kills, just shy of 5,000 damage, another 600 assistance, and 300 in blocked damage. And so the other thing that wrapped up this weekend, this was of course during the Living Apex, where you got a little bit of a bonus on the first win for your highest tier of tanks. So I have 2 tier 10 tanks currently, and both of them I could play the first win, and I get a silver bonus and an XP bonus. And that led to a really nice result in terms of silver and XP for this T57 Heavy. Now, I'm not big on that. If you want to make silver, you're not playing your tier 10 tanks, you're playing your tier 8s, your premiums. And XP in heavy tank in tier 10 tanks isn't really a big deal for me either. It helps your crews out, but other than that, you're not working on your way to the next tank. So I could take or leave that part. The Living Apex wasn't a big deal for me. It was fine. It was good to mix it up a little bit, but not an event that I really look forward to or thought was a great one in terms of you had to participate. I think I might have even skipped one of the days of the Living Apex. So just to wrap up, we can see that we fired 17 shots and 17 hits. Great accuracy from that tank. Mostly brawling range, but a couple of long range shots, and none of them let us down there. 16 penetrations. We just had the 1 bounce. And 4,917 damage. Not a bad game in the T57 Heavy. Again, I think this might have only been a 2nd class mastery badge. But we did well, top of the team. carried ourselves in damage and had a nice game, played a nice role in the battle, especially early on there. At the end, we were kind of playing it safe and playing a little circuit run around the map there. But I think it went well. I think it was a nice game. Wanted to share it with you guys as well as my thoughts on the recent Road to the Top event. But I am definitely looking forward to the next on-track event, which is supposed to be coming in May, even though we don't have any news about it yet. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please feel free to give a thumbs up and subscribe for future content if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.